M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo say that they have captured the eastern city of Goma after days of heavy fighting with government forces and UN peacekeepers. The M23 militia is backed by neighbouring Rwanda, and the United Nations has warned of a major humanitarian crisis. Thousands of civilians have already fled across the border into Rwanda. There are reports that troops from the two neighbouring countries have been fighting at each other or firing at each other across the border. Goma is the biggest city in eastern Congo, home to around 1.7 million residents, as well as displaced people.
Fighting between Congolese forces and the M23 armed rebel group has intensified in the east, with the rebels pressing on with their relentless offensive that is bringing the city of Goma to the brink. Congolese officials are accusing neighbouring Rwanda of backing the M23 armed group.
Apart from attacks on strategic infrastructure, bombs have also fallen on the displaced persons camp in Bushagara. There is a clear intent to spread panic and terror. This is precisely the method used by the Rwandan army against the people of North Kivu.
Rwanda denies it's involved in the conflict, despite evidence collected by UN experts and others. Alongside the Congolese army, regional peacekeepers and UN forces have been heavily engaged in the fighting, which has already resulted in heavy casualties. The violence has displaced hundreds of thousands, forcing many to flee, while others remain in the city, braving the dangerous conditions. We haven't slept for 3 days. We hear bombs exploding day and night. We see people trying to flee, but will not flee because we have nowhere to go.
Sitting here, I can hear the sounds of bombs, the crackle of falling bullets. We decided to stay at home because as long as there are wars, those who flee the war can also die or live a bad life. That's why we thought it's better to stay home. If we're going to die, it's better to die here.
Conflict in eastern DRC has raged for decades, with multiple failed attempts at ceasefire. The latest escalation has sparked international concern, with the UN and several Western countries calling on the M23 group to cease its hostilities and for Rwanda to halt its involvement.
Well, I'm joined by journalist Katanty Djaffar on the phone from Goma now. Internet connections in the area seem to be down, which is why we can't see you. If you could begin by describing to us what you're hearing and seeing in Goma today.
From the place I am now, I'm seeing nothing except the nature and people around me because I'm in a hotel for my security. And what we can hear is gunshots and all caliber because M23 had taken the control of the city. But in some places, Wazalendo fighters are still resisting to M23. And the information I have now, it seems that there was an incursion of Wazalendo in the Rwandan territory as a response to this attack of M23 on the city of Goma.
So the security situation has you locked down in a hotel. Do you have any way of confirming that the city is now held by the M23 rebel group, or is this battle still ongoing?
To be honest, the M23 has taken the control of the city, except in some isolated zones where Wazalendo are still fighting. But the National Army surrendered in the night. Also, the Agemira mercenaries surrendered in the night. For now, only Wazalendo are fighting, and it's not an open fight, but it's just an isolated case. When Muzalendo see a troop of M23, he can shoot them, and then M23 respond. I don't know if you are hearing in my background gunshots.
We can hear it faintly. I wonder, the UN has been describing a mass panic there a lot because of what you're hearing there, a panic among the civilian population. I wonder from your vantage point, although it is somewhat limited, do you know how the people are dealing with this current situation?
For the moment, the majority, almost of people here are in their houses, except some few number of people. Early in the morning, they were accompanying M23 when troops were getting in the city, and other people was looting in supermarkets and shops. But when fighting between M23 and Wazalendo started, everybody returned back to their places.
Katanty, the M23 are heavily armed, as we can hear. Do we know what they want if they achieve a military takeover?
Come again, please.
We can hear the M23 rebels and government forces fighting, but do we know what M23 want, what they will bring if they achieve a military takeover in Goma, where you are?
It's difficult to know that, because that can be a noun goal, a noun answer of M23. But since the beginning of the war, not just the fall of the city of Goma, since they started, they say they are fighting for their rights, they are fighting for the liberty of North Kivu, of Eastern Kivu, Eastern Congo citizen, or for the Congolese Kinyarwanda speakers. But for now, as they take the control of the city of Goma, I think their goals stay the same.
As the battle for Goma is still ongoing, journalist Katanty Djaffar in Goma, we really appreciate your update. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you too.
All right, for more from the ground, I'm joined now by Myriam Favier, who is head of the International Red Cross's subdelegation in Goma. It's good to have you with us. You're in Goma. What's the latest that you are hearing about the situation in the city?
Look, it's been since yesterday morning, the situation has drastically deteriorated, intensified, especially in terms of use of weapons that we're currently hearing. I'm talking to you actually from our shelter right now. So there's been use of gunfire, but also heavy artillery, especially since this morning in the center of the city of Goma, which obviously has impacted the humanitarian situation, but also civilians. We have a few health centers that we support here, and our team, surgical team, is still in the hospital and has received an incredible number of wounded since a few days, and in particular yesterday.
I want to ask you about these images that have emerged. These are apparently the first images of M23 rebels allegedly marching prisoners through the streets of Goma. I mean, can you confirm that that is happening? I mean, what can you tell us about that?
What we can confirm from our shelter right now is that we hear intense fighting. We don't know exactly who is fighting whom. What we can hear is that there is a use of heavy artillery that is impacting the civilian population, that you have like active fighting in highly dense areas, populating areas. And this is terrible for the population. One of our staff has been actually impacted because his house has received a bomb this morning. Fortunately, no wounded, but the situation is really concerning.
What do the M23 rebels want? I mean, have they put forward any demands for a ceasefire?
Not that I know. I think what parties to the conflict want is something that is highly political. ICRC is not involved in any political matters. What we want, and this is why we have not evacuated since a few days, is to answer to the humanitarian situation, which we have done, and no electricity, no water in Goma for a few days now, but we've distributed more than 2,500 liters of fuel in order to answer to the needs of the population, especially in terms of water.
Kenya has announced that the presidents of both Congo and Rwanda will attend an emergency regional summit in the next 2 days. Do you think this meeting will provide some hope in terms of perhaps ending this violence?
I'm so sorry, your question cut.
Oh, yeah, I just wanted to ask you that Kenya has announced that the presidents of both Congo and Rwanda will attend an emergency regional summit in the next 2 days. Do you think that this meeting is going to give people hope that an end to the violence could maybe be achieved?
Well, I think people have hope that the situation can improve, that there would be less impact on their lives, on the lives of people, less wounded, less people separated by their family, from their family in the conflict. So we can only hope for the best.
Yeah. Myriam Favier from the International Red Cross, we appreciate your time. We appreciate you taking the time to talk with us in what is a very difficult situation. Thank you.
Thank you.